Thank you, Mr. President. Your Chief of Staff, General Kelly, has recommended ending the practice of granting interim security clearances to members of the Trump administration. Yeah. If that proceeds, would you be willing to grant a waiver to Jared Kushner, one of your senior advisors?
Well, Jared's done an outstanding job. I think he's been treated very unfairly. He's a high-quality person. He works for nothing, just so, nobody ever reports that, but he gets zero. He doesn't get a salary, nor does Ivanka, who's now in South Korea, long trip, representing her country, and we cannot get a better representative. In fact, the First Lady, Melania, was telling me what a great impression she made this morning when she landed in South Korea. Jared is truly outstanding. He was very successful when he was in the private sector. He's working on peace in the Middle East and some other small and very easy deals. They've always said peace in the Middle East, peace between the Palestinians and Israel is the toughest deal of any deal there is. Now, I've heard this all my life, that as a former deal maker, although now you could say maybe I'm more of a deal maker than ever before, you have no choice as president to do it right. But the hardest deal to make of any kind is between the Israelis and the Palestinians. We're actually making great headway. Jerusalem was the right thing to do. We took that off the table. But Jared Kushner is right in the middle of that, and he's an extraordinary deal maker. And if he does that, that will be an incredible accomplishment and a very important thing for our country. So General Kelly, who's doing a terrific job, by the way, is right in the middle of that. We inherited a system that's broken. It's a system where many people have it's taken months and months and months to get many people that do not have a complex complicated financials. They don't have that, and it's still taken months. It's a broken system, and it shouldn't take this long. You know how many people are on that list? People with not a problem in the world. So that'll be up to General Kelly. General Kelly respects Jared a lot, and General Kelly will make that call. I won't make that call. I will let the general, who's right here, make that call. But Jared's doing some very important things for our country. He gets paid zero. Ivanka, by the way, gets paid zero. She gave up a very good and very strong, solid, big business in order to come to Washington because she wanted to help families and she wanted to help women. She said, "Dad, I want to go to Washington. I want to help women." And I said, Washington's a mean place. She said, "I don't care. I want to help women. I want to help families." And she was very much involved, as you know, in the child tax credit. And now she's working very much on family leave, things that I don't think would have been in the agreement if it weren't for Ivanka. And some of our great senators, et cetera. But she was very much in the forefront of that. So I will let General Kelly make that decision. And he's going to do what's right for the country. And I have no doubt he'll make the right decision. Okay? Good, Trey. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
I have a couple questions for you. If you
how about one? Go ahead, Trey.
Compromise it too. Following mass shootings, there's often a lot of talk and little action. So I ask you today, what specific pieces of legislation or legislative framework will you propose to lawmakers following the Parkland shooting?
Well, we're going to do a lot, but we are going to be very strong on background checks. I've spoken with many of our people in Congress, our senators, our congressmen and women, and there's a movement on to get something done. We want to be very powerful on background checks. When we're dealing with the mentally ill, as we were in this last case, he was a very sick person and somebody that should have been nabbed. I guess they had 39 different occasions where they were able to see him or potentially see him. We want to be very powerful, very strong on background checks, and especially as it pertains to the mentally ill. We're going to get rid of the bump stocks, and we're going to do certain other things. But one of the feelings that I have, and you probably heard me in a speech this morning, very, very important that we have offensive capability as well as defensive capability that's within the schools, because when you have a gun-free zone, you're really inviting people to come in and do whatever you have to do and oftentimes get out. I was the one that brought up the fact that these shootings on average last 3 minutes, and it takes anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes for the police to get to the site. And I want to have people in the building. And in many cases, you have ex-Marines and ex-Army and Navy and Air Force and Coast Guard. You have them in the building, and they can have concealed weapons and still be teachers, or they could be in the building in a different capacity. But we have to have offensive capability to take these people out rapidly before they can do this kind of damage. But we'll be putting in strong language having to do with the background checks, and that'll take place very quickly. I spoke with Paul Ryan this morning, with Mitch McConnell, and people are looking to really energize. I know that this has been going on for a long time, many, many years, and you've had people in my position, and they would mention things, but not a lot of things got done, obviously. We take it very seriously. We want to put an end to it. And if, by the way, the bad guy thinks that somebody's in this room with a weapon that's going to be pointed at him with live bullets, he's not even going into the school. It's the one way you're going to solve it. You're not going to solve it with gun-free spaces, because they'll get in there and they're going to be the only one with a gun. So we need offensive capability, and we're going to be doing something about it. We're dealing with Congress right now. Thank you.
If I could follow up, Mr. President, amid talks of arming teachers and mental health, what specific commitments to American students can you make that these policies will make them safer?
Well, I think it's going to make it safer. And, you know, the problem that's been happening over the last 20 years is people have talked. You said it. It's all talk. It's no action. And we're going to take action. I think it's going to make it safer. I think the fact that you have some capability within a school, they're not going to go into that school. They're not going to do it. You can look at what's happened with airplanes, where we put marshals on planes with guns, where pilots in many cases have guns. Nothing's happened for a long period of time, when it used to it was getting to a point of being routine. When you have somebody with a gun staring you down, it's going to be a lot different for them to walk into those schools. Right now, they look at the sign outside. This is a gun-free environment. That means they're the only one with a gun. And the damage this lunatic did in that school for such a long period of time. And frankly, you had a gun, and he was outside as a guard, and he decided not to go in. That was not his finest moment, that I can tell you. He waited, and he didn't want to go into the school. I just heard this, and it's a terrible situation. But we need people that can take care of our children. We're not going to let this happen again. And the way it's not going to happen again, because they're basically cowards. Innately, they're cowards. And if they know bad things happen to them once they get into that school by people that love the children. See, a security guard doesn't know the children, doesn't love the children. This man standing outside of the school the other day doesn't love the children, probably doesn't know the children. The teachers love their children. They love their pupils. They love their students. They're doing it also from love. Now, they have to be very adept. I'm not talking about every teacher. I'm talking about a small percentage. But people that have great ability with weaponry, with guns, those are the only people I'm talking about. But they'll protect the student. For the Prime Minister?
Yes, I think, yes, we're Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review.
Thanks, gentlemen. Mr. Trump, Mr. Turnbull. Phil Curry from the Financial Review. To you, Mr. Trump, just on the region and China and associated issues, the United States Navy has conducted frequently freedom of navigation sail-throughs through the disputed areas. Would you like to see the Australian Navy participate directly in those operations alongside the US allies? And whilst on the region, could I ask you what your latest thinking is on the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Are you softening your opposition to that, or do you remain as opposed as ever?
Well, I think the Trans-Pacific Partnership was not a good deal for us. And if they made it a good deal for us, I'd go in. But honestly, it wasn't. I like bilateral deals much more than multilateral. I like to be able to negotiate with one country, and if it doesn't work out, you terminate. And during the termination notice, right after you get sent, they call you and they say, please, let's make a deal, and you fix the deal. When you get into multi, you can't do that. But Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP was a very bad deal for the United States. It would have cost us tremendous amounts of jobs, would have been bad. But there's a possibility we would go in, but they will be offering us a much better deal. I would certainly do that. As far as your lanes are concerned, we'd love to have Australia involved, and I think Australia wants us to stay involved. I have to say we've developed a great relationship with China, other than the fact that they've been killing us on trade for the last long period of time. Killing us, absolutely killing the United States on trade. But we have developed a great relationship with China, probably closer than we've ever had. And my personal relationship, as Malcolm can tell you, with President Xi is, I think, quite extraordinary. He's somebody that I like, and I think he likes me. With that being said, he likes China, and I like the United States. But a lot of things are happening. It's going to be a very interesting period of time. But we do have to straighten out. And as much as I like and really respect President Xi, we have to straighten out the trade imbalance. It's too much. It's no good.